The signal came from nowhere. One moment, the stars were quiet. The next moment, every screen on the horizon's edge lit up with a pattern that no human had ever seen before. Captain stood at the center of the bridge and watched the strange symbols flow across the display. His heart was beating fast, but his face stayed calm. 20 years in space had taught him to hide his feelings. His crew needed to see strength, not fear. "What is it?" he asked. Lieutenant Minu worked quickly at his station. His fingers moved across the controls as he tried to understand the signal. "It is not random noise, Captain. There is a pattern. Someone is trying to talk to us." Doctor stepped closer to the screen. She was the ship's medical officer and also their expert on alien life. Until today, alien life had been just a theory. Now it might be real. "The signal is repeating," she said. "They want us to follow it." Engineer looked up from her console. "Should we trust it? We do not know who sent this." Captain thought about it for a long moment. Humanity had been traveling among the stars for 50 years. They had found empty planets, dead moons, and ancient ruins, but they had never found anyone alive. The universe had seemed empty and cold, until now. "We follow it," he said. "This is why we came out here, to find others." The horizon's edge changed course and followed the signal deeper into unknown space. Hours passed. The crew barely spoke. They were all thinking the same thing. What would they find at the end of this path? Specialist, the communications officer, suddenly sat up straight in his chair. "Captain, I am receiving a new transmission. It is a voice." "Put it through," ordered. A sound filled the bridge. It was not human, but it was clearly speech. The voice was deep and musical, like wind through a cave. The words meant nothing at first, but then something strange happened. The sounds began to change. They shifted and moved until they became words that the humans could understand. "Travelers from the small blue world," the voice said. "We have watched you for many years. We have waited for you to come far enough to find us. You are welcome here. Please come to us. We wish to honor you." The crew looked at each other. Doctor's eyes were wide with wonder. Minu gripped his console tightly, whispered something under her breath, just stared at the speakers like he could not believe what he was hearing. "Respond," said. His voice was steady. "Tell them we accept their invitation." Sent the message, and minutes later something appeared on their sensors. It was massive. A station, larger than any structure humans had ever built. It hung in space like a glowing jewel, covered in lights and strange shapes. Ships moved around it like small fish swimming near a whale. "That is not possible," breathed. "The engineering alone would take centuries." "For us, maybe," Doctor replied quietly. "Not for them." The horizon's edge approached slowly. A docking port opened for them, glowing with soft blue light. They landed gently, and the ship went quiet. For a moment, nobody moved. Captain stood up. "Doctor, Lieutenant Minu, Specialist, you are with me. Stay with the ship. Keep the engines warm." "Understood," said. She did not look happy about staying behind, but she knew someone needed to guard their only way home. The airlock opened, and they stepped into the alien station. The air was clean and cool. The walls curved around them in smooth, organic shapes. Everything was beautiful in a way that felt both familiar and completely strange. Figures waited for them at the end of the corridor. They were tall and thin, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Their eyes were large and dark, full of ancient wisdom. They wore robes of deep purple and gold. The tallest one stepped forward. He was older than the others. His skin had lines of age, and his movements were slow but graceful. When he spoke, it was the same voice from the transmission. "I am Grand Elder," he said, "leader of the council. On behalf of all our people, I welcome you." Captain bowed his head slightly. "I am captain of the human vessel Horizon's Edge. We thank you for your welcome." Smiled. It was a strange expression on his alien face, but somehow it felt warm. "Please come. There is much to discuss and much to celebrate. Your species has traveled far to reach us. This moment has been awaited for a very long time." They walked through the station, and everywhere they went stopped to stare at them. Some whispered to each other. Some bowed. The attention made the humans uncomfortable, but they kept walking. "Why are they looking at us like that?" Minyu asked quietly. "Because you are special," said a new voice. A female had joined them. She was younger than, with curious eyes and quick movements. "I am Ambassador. I have studied your kind for many years. You are the first to come this far, the first to answer our call." Doctor looked at her with interest. "You studied us. From how far away?" "Very far," admitted. "We have watched your world since before your people built cities. We wanted to see what you would become." The thought made shiver. An alien race had been watching humanity for thousands of years. They had seen everything, the good and the bad, and still they had invited humans here. They entered a massive hall. Thousands of filled the seats that rose up like a giant bowl. In the center was a platform with 5 chairs for the humans and several crystalline vessels that glowed with golden light. Grand Elder raised his arms and the crowd went silent. "Today is a historic day," he announced. "For 10,000 years they have guarded the nectar of eternity. It is our most sacred treasure. It grants strength, wisdom, and long life. We share it only with those species we deem worthy after centuries of observation." He turned to Captain. "Humanity, you have proven yourselves. You rose from a dangerous world. You survived wars, disasters, and your own worst nature. You reach for the stars not to conquer but to explore. Today, we offer you our greatest gift." A priest in white robes stepped forward. He carried one of the crystalline vessels with great care. His name was High Priest, and his hands trembled slightly with the importance of what he was doing. "The nectar takes decades to produce," explained. "Only a few drops are made each year. What we offer you today represents generations of work. It is our hope that it will make your people strong." Doctor quietly pulled out her scanner. It was standard medical protocol to check anything before her crew consumed it. She pointed it at the vessel and read the results. Her eyebrows rose slightly, but she said nothing. Captain accepted the vessel. It was warm in his hands, and the liquid inside seemed to glow with its own light. He looked at his crew, then at the thousands of watching him. This was a moment that would be remembered forever. "We are honored," he said formally. "Humanity accepts this gift with gratitude and respect." Grand Elder nodded solemnly. Ambassador leaned forward in anticipation. High Priest clasped his hands together in prayer. The entire hall held its breath. Captain raised the vessel to his lips and took a sip of the galaxy's most sacred beverage. The golden liquid touched Captain's tongue, and the entire hall went silent. Thousands of leaned forward. Grand Elder watched with ancient eyes full of hope. Ambassador held her breath. High Priest whispered a quiet prayer. Swallowed, his face changed. First there was surprise, then confusion, then something that looked almost like recognition. He lowered the vessel and turned to his crew with a strange expression. "It tastes like grape juice," he said. The words hung in the air. Nobody moved. Lieutenant Minyu blinked. "What?" "Grape juice," repeated. He looked at the vessel again, then took another sip. "Really good grape juice. Sweet, a little thick, but definitely grape juice." Doctor stepped forward and took the vessel. She smelled it first, then tasted it carefully. Her medical training made her cautious, but she had already seen the scanner results. "He is right," she confirmed. "It tastes exactly like the grape juice my mother used to make when I was a child. Maybe a little better, but the same basic flavor." Specialist tried some next. He rolled it around in his mouth like he was testing wine. "This is very similar to something we drink on Earth. We call it grape juice because it comes from a fruit called grapes. Children drink it with breakfast." The silence in the hall became heavier. Grand Elder had not moved. His face was frozen in an expression that nobody could read. Ambassador's mouth had fallen open slightly. High Priest stepped forward, his voice shaking. You must be mistaken. The nectar of eternity is the most powerful substance in the galaxy. It takes decades to produce. It grants those who drink it incredible abilities, strength, speed, mental clarity, extended life. It cannot be, juice. Doctor pulled out her scanner again and showed the results to the priest. The chemical structure is almost identical to concentrated grape juice from Earth. There are some additional compounds, but they are things that human bodies either produce naturally or can easily get from common foods. Looked at the scanner like it was speaking a language he did not understand. But the effects, surely you feel different now, stronger, more aware. Thought about it seriously, he wanted to be respectful. I feel refreshed, it was very tasty, but I do not feel transformed. Lieutenant Minyu nodded in agreement. It is good, I would drink this again, but it is not changing me in any way. Engineer's voice came through the communication device on's belt. She had been listening from the ship. Did they say it tastes like grape juice? Can you bring some back? I am very thirsty from all this waiting. The casual request seemed to break something in the room. Several made sounds of distress. Ambassador finally found her voice. This cannot be correct, she said. She was not angry but deeply confused. The nectar extends by centuries. It allows our warriors to perform feats of incredible strength. Our scholars drink it before important work because it sharpens their minds beyond normal limits. How can it be ordinary to you? Doctor thought carefully before answering. She could see that they were struggling with this information, and she wanted to be kind. Our bodies are different from yours, she explained gently. Earth is what scientists call a high-gravity world with strong solar radiation and many toxins in the environment. Our bodies evolved to handle difficult conditions. The compounds in your nectar are beneficial, but we already have similar things in our regular diet. You mean you consume this power every day? Asked. Many humans drink fruit juice with breakfast, said. Some drink it several times a day. Children especially love it. Grand Elder finally moved. He walked slowly toward the humans, his ancient eyes studying them with new interest. Tell me, he said quietly, what do humans consider a truly powerful beverage? If the nectar of eternity is merely refreshment to you, what do you drink when you want strength? The human crew members looked at each other, raised an eyebrow at Minyu. Minyu shrugged and thought about it for a moment. Coffee, Minyu said finally. When we need to be alert and focused, we drink coffee. Coffee, repeated the strange word carefully. What is this coffee? Tried to explain. It is a drink made from roasted beans. It contains a substance called caffeine that stimulates the mind and body. Most humans drink it in the morning to help them wake up. And this coffee is stronger than the nectar? Asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Well, it certainly wakes you up faster, said with a small smile. Though I would not say it gives us special powers, it just helps us stay alert. The exchanged glances filled with something between fear and fascination. Their sacred treasure, the thing they valued above almost everything else, was breakfast juice to these strange beings from the dangerous blue planet. Ambassador stepped closer to the humans. I have studied your species for many years, she said. I thought I understood you, but I am beginning to realize that our observations missed something important. Your world. It is classified in our records as a Category 7 death world. What does that mean? Minyu asked. It means everything there is trying to kill everything else, explained. High gravity, extreme temperatures, predators everywhere, toxic plants, violent weather. Most species would not survive a single day on your planet, but you did not just survive. You thrived. You became the dominant species, and then you left your world and reached for the stars. Doctor nodded slowly. Earth is dangerous. That is true. We grew up learning to handle those dangers. We did not think of it as unusual because it was all we knew. Grand Elder made a decision. He raised his hand and the crowd went quiet again. The ceremony is complete, he announced. But the celebration has just begun. Our human guests have taught us something valuable today. We thought we were giving them a gift, but instead they have given us a gift, the gift of perspective. He turned to, Captain, I would like to learn more about your people, about your world, about the beverages and foods you consider normal. I believe there is much we do not understand about humanity. Bowed his head respectfully. We would be happy to share, Grand Elder, and perhaps we could sample this coffee together. I think you would find it interesting. Made a small sound. Is that wise? If your juice is our most powerful substance, what might your coffee do to us? The humans had not considered this. They looked at each other with sudden uncertainty. We should probably do some tests first, Doctor said carefully. Human food and drink might affect differently. I would not want anyone to get hurt. A sensible suggestion, agreed. Perhaps we could visit your vessel. I am curious to see how humans live when they travel among the stars. Nodded, you are welcome aboard the Horizon's Edge, though I should warn you it is much smaller than this station, and much less beautiful. Size and beauty are not everything, said. He was looking at the humans with new respect. Sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest power. As they walked back toward the human ship, Ambassador fell into step beside Doctor. May I ask you something personal, she said. Of course. When you drink your coffee or your juice or eat your food, do you ever think about how remarkable it is that you can consume things that would harm other species? Smiled softly. No, it is just breakfast. We do not think about it at all. Was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I think that is the most frightening thing you have told me today. Behind them, High Priest was still standing in the ceremonial hall, staring at the remaining vessels of nectar. Everything he had believed about the universe had just shifted. The galaxy's mightiest beverage was juice, and somewhere out there was a species that drank something even stronger every single morning. He was not sure if he should be amazed or terrified. Perhaps both. The Horizon's Edge was small compared to the station. It was built for exploration, not comfort. But Grand Elder looked around the cramped corridors with genuine interest. Everything was different here. The metal walls, the exposed pipes, the flickering lights that needed repair. It was rough and practical and somehow honest. Your ship has character, said the captain. I can see that it has traveled far and survived much. She is old, admitted, but she is reliable. She has never let us down. Engineer was waiting for them in the common area. She had been preparing for the visitors, which mostly meant hiding the dirty dishes and clearing space on the table. When she saw the tall aliens ducking through the doorway, her eyes went wide. Welcome aboard, she said, trying to sound professional. Ambassador looked around the small room with fascination. This is where you eat and rest. This is where we do everything, Lieutenant Minu said. We sleep in pods down the hall. We work on the bridge. But this room is where we come to relax and talk and share meals. High Priest entered last. He was still shaken from the ceremony, but curiosity had won over confusion. He wanted to understand these strange beings who treated sacred substances like water. So, said, settling carefully into a chair that was too small for him, tell us about this coffee. The crew exchanged glances. Doctor stepped forward. Before we share it, I need to run some tests. Caffeine affects different species in different ways. I want to make sure it is safe for you. I appreciate your caution, said, but I have lived for over 300 years. I am willing to take a small risk to understand your people better. Nodded eagerly. I have spent my life studying humans. I want to experience what you experience. Hesitated, then straightened his shoulders. If the Grand Elder is willing, I will not be less brave. Sighed, she could see they were determined. Very well, but please, only a small sip at first, and tell us immediately if you feel anything unusual. Moved to the small kitchen area. The coffee maker was old and made strange noises, but it worked. The smell of brewing coffee filled the room, rich and dark and warm. They breathed in deeply. Their large eyes widened. "What is that smell?" asked. Her voice was different, almost hungry. "That is coffee," Specialist said. "It smells good, yes." "It smells powerful," whispered. "I can feel it from here." Poured 3 small cups, very small, barely more than a few sips each. She handed them to them with a look of concern. "Remember," said, "small sips only." Grand Elder raised the cup to his nose first. He closed his eyes and breathed in the steam. His expression was peaceful, almost dreaming. Then he took a tiny sip. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then his eyes flew open. They were wider than the humans had ever seen eyes go. His hands began to tremble. The cup rattled in his grip. Grand Elder asked quickly, "Are you all right?" Did not answer. He was staring at something only he could see. His breathing was fast and shallow. His silver skin had taken on a strange glow. Ambassador, not seeing the elder's reaction in time, took her own sip. The effect was immediate. She made a sound like a gasp and a laugh mixed together. Her hands flew up to her face. She stood up so fast that her chair fell over. "I can see everything," she said rapidly. "I can see the patterns in the metal. I can hear the ship breathing. My mind is moving so fast. Is this what humans feel? Is this normal?" High Priest watched his companions with growing alarm, but he had promised to be brave. He closed his eyes, whispered a prayer, and drank his coffee. The result was spectacular. Jumped to his feet and began packing around the small room. He was speaking faster than the translator could keep up. Words poured out of him like water from a broken pipe. "I understand now," he was saying. "I understand the shape of the universe. The nectar showed us peace, but this shows us truth. The humans come from a world of fire and poison, and they drink lightning every morning. No wonder they spread across the stars. No wonder they fear nothing. They are fueled by pure energy." "He is having a religious experience," observed quietly. Commander, who had accompanied the delegation but stayed near the door, pushed forward with alarm on her face. "What have you done to them?" she demanded. "Is this an attack? Have you poisoned our leaders?" "No, no," said quickly. "They are not poisoned, they are just stimulated. The caffeine is affecting their nervous systems. It will pass." "Pass, look at them." Had stood up and was examining the wall with intense focus. "The metal has patterns," he was murmuring. "So many patterns, I never noticed before. The universe is made of patterns." Was doing mathematics in the air with her fingers, solving problems faster than she ever had in her life. "I could write 10 research papers right now," she said. 20. My mind is clear, so clear." Had not stopped packing. He had started singing something in an ancient language. It sounded like a hymn, but he was singing it at triple speed. Captain rubbed his face with his hands. This was a mistake. "How much coffee did they drink?" Minyu asked. "Maybe 2 sips each," she replied. "It was a very small amount." 2 sips did this. Apparently. Was trying to calm, but he kept slipping away from her, too energized to stay still. "How do humans survive drinking this?" she asked angrily. "How do you function?" "We drink much more than 2 sips," admitted. "Most of us have several cups every day." Stared at him. Several cups every day. Some people drink it all day long, and some drink something even stronger called espresso. The commander looked like she might faint. Stronger. Was checking, though, with her medical scanner. Their heart rates are elevated, but not dangerously so. The effect should wear off in a few hours. They are not in any real danger. A few hours. Turned around. Despite his strange behavior, there was wonder in his voice. This sensation lasts for hours. For humans, the energy from coffee lasts several hours, yes. Then we drink more. The Grand Elder sat down slowly. His hands were still shaking, but his mind was working faster than it had in decades. He could feel thoughts connecting that had never connected before. Problems he had struggled with for years suddenly seemed simple. "This is remarkable," he said. "This is. I do not have words. The nectar of eternity gives us peace and longevity. Your coffee gives us fire and clarity. They are opposite things, and you drink this every morning." "Every morning," confirmed. "Sometimes we need it just to wake up properly." "Just to wake up," repeated. He laughed, a strange sound from an alien throat. "Your species drinks lightning to start the day. What else do you consume that would break our minds?" The humans looked at each other uncomfortably. "Perhaps we should discuss that another time," suggested carefully. But had heard the hesitation in her voice. Even in her stimulated state, she noticed things. "There is more. There are other substances." "Well," Minu said slowly, "there is alcohol." Made a choking sound. "What is alcohol?" "It is fermented plants. It affects the mind in different ways, makes people relaxed, sometimes too relaxed. You have a beverage that does the opposite of this coffee." "We have many beverages. Energy drinks that are stronger than coffee, alcohol that slows you down, soft drinks that are full of sugar, tea that is similar to coffee but gentler." Had finally stopped packing. He was leaning against the wall, breathing heavily, but his eyes were bright with revelation. "Your species lives in a storm of chemical experiences," he said. "Every day, every meal, you are adjusting your minds and bodies with substances that would destroy other races, and you do not even think about it." "It is just breakfast," said with a shrug. "Everyone does it." The words echoed in the small room. "It is just breakfast." It was the most terrifying phrase they had ever heard. Grand Elder looked at Captain with new understanding. "I invited you here to honor you with our greatest treasure," he said. "But I see now that we are the ones who should be honored. Your species has shown us something important today. There are powers in this universe that we never imagined." Bowed his head. "We are happy to share, Grand Elder. That is what friends do." "Friends," repeated. He liked the sound of that word. "Yes, I think we shall be great friends, you and we." Behind him, started singing again. Was still doing mathematics. Watched them both with the expression of someone whose world had been turned upside down. The coffee maker made a sound, looked at it. "More coffee, anyone?" They all said no at the same time, loudly. The humans tried very hard not to laugh. News traveled fast in the galaxy, faster than light, faster than anyone could have expected. Within days, every species with access to long-range communications had heard the story. The ancient, keepers of the legendary nectar of eternity, had offered their sacred treasure to the humans from Earth, and the humans had called it juice. The reaction was immediate and intense. Captain stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, reading message after message from species he had never heard of. Some were curious, some were afraid, some wanted to meet these strange beings who treated miracles as ordinary things. "We are famous," specialists said. He did not sound happy about it. "Every translator network in the sector is talking about us." "What are they saying?" Lieutenant Minu asked. "Many things. Some call us heroes, some call us monsters. One group thinks we are gods who pretend to be mortal. Another group thinks we are dangerous beasts who should be contained." Doctor looked up from her research station. "We need to be careful. We did not choose this attention, but we must handle it wisely." Ambassador had recovered from her coffee experience, though she said her mind still felt sharper than before. She had stayed aboard the horizon's edge to help with communications. She understood both sides now, the alien and the human, and she wanted to help them understand each other. "The Council has decided to share what happened," she explained. "They believe the galaxy deserves to know the truth about humanity, but different species are reacting in different ways." "What kind of ways?" asked. Before could answer, the sensors detected new ships approaching. 3 of them from 3 different civilizations. They had come to see the humans for themselves. The first delegation was from a species of large, heavily armored beings who valued strength above all else. Their leader, a warrior named, looked at the small human crew with confusion. "These are the ones who drink poison for breakfast," he asked. "They are so small." "Size is not everything," Minyu said calmly. Laughed a deep rumbling sound. "Words of the weak. Show me this poison you consume. I do not believe the stories." Engineer brought out a cup of coffee, took it with two massive fingers, and drank the entire thing in one gulp. The effect was immediate. The huge warrior stumbled backward, his armored plates rattling. His eyes went wide. He made a sound that might have been terror or amazement. "It burns," he gasped. "It burns and gives life at the same time. How do you survive this?" "We build up tolerance over time," explained. "Also, we usually drink it more slowly." Looked at the empty cup with newfound respect. "They have searched the galaxy for substances that could enhance our warriors. We found nothing strong enough, and you drink this every morning." "Sometimes twice a day," said. The warrior sat down heavily. His whole understanding of the universe had shifted. These small, soft creatures were not weak. They were something else entirely. The second delegation was from a race of beings who had evolved on a cold, dark world. They were sensitive to many things that other species found harmless. Their representative, a delicate creature named Whisper, approached the humans with obvious fear. "We have heard that your foods are toxic," Whisper said in a voice like wind through leaves. "Is this true?" Doctor considered how to answer kindly. "Our foods are not toxic to us, but they might be harmful to other species. We evolved on a challenging planet so we can tolerate many things." "May I see what you eat? I wish to understand." Brought out some of the ship's supplies: crackers, dried fruit, a chocolate bar, a small bottle of hot sauce that Minyu had brought from home. Whisper examined each item carefully without touching them. When she reached the chocolate, she made a sound of distress. "This contains theobromine. It is a poison that would kill my entire delegation." "To us it is candy," said. "Children eat it for treats." "Your children eat poison for treats." "It is not poison to us. It tastes sweet. We enjoy it." Whisper backed away slowly. Her species had always thought of themselves as fragile. Now she realized they had found the true opposite. Humans were not merely sturdy. They were walking chemical factories, able to process toxins that would destroy other life forms. "You are terrifying," she whispered, "and you do not even know it." The third delegation was the most interesting. They were scientists from the Institute, a civilization devoted entirely to knowledge. They had brought equipment and questions and an endless desire to understand. "We wish to study human dietary habits," their leader announced. She was called Professor, and her multiple eyes sparkled with academic excitement. "The implications for galactic biology are enormous." Over the next several hours, they tested everything the humans were willing to share. Coffee, tea, juice, crackers, chocolate, peppers, citrus fruits, fermented beverages. Every item produced new readings and new amazements. "This capsaicin," said, holding up a small pepper. "It is a defensive chemical that plants produce to avoid being eaten. It causes pain in most nervous systems." "We call that spicy," Minyu said. "We put it on food to make it taste better." "You deliberately cause yourself pain for flavor." "It is a good kind of pain, hard to explain." "And this ethanol," held up a bottle of rice wine that had been saving for a special occasion. "It is a toxin that damages cells and impairs brain function." "We call that alcohol. We drink it to relax and celebrate." "You deliberately impair your own brain function." "Sometimes we need to stop thinking so much. It helps us connect with each other." Professor was writing notes as fast as her 4 hands could move. "This is incredible. Your species did not just survive a death world. You learned to enjoy it. You found pleasure in things that would kill others. How is this possible? Doctor thought about it. I think, when you grow up surrounded by danger, you learn to find joy wherever you can. Every meal is a victory. Every morning you wake up is a gift. We celebrate because we survived. The words seemed to touch something in the aliens. Even, still recovering from his coffee experience, nodded slowly. Your people are warriors in a way we never understood, he said. Not warriors of battle, but warriors of life. You fight your own planet every day just to exist. Over the following weeks, word continued to spread. The horizon's edge became a kind of strange embassy, receiving visitors from dozens of species who wanted to see the humans for themselves. Some brought gifts, some brought questions, some brought warnings. The Dominion has heard about you, Ambassador told Captain one evening. They do not believe the stories. They think they are lying to protect a weak new species. Who are the warriors, conquerors? They believe strength is the only thing that matters. They have never been challenged because no one is strong enough to stop them. Frowned, what do they want? They want proof. They do not think humans are as dangerous as everyone says. They believe the stories are propaganda. We are not dangerous, said. We are just durable. They do not see the difference. To them, anything that could challenge their superiority must be crushed before it becomes a threat. The warning hung in the air. Humanity had wanted to explore the stars and make friends. Instead, they had accidentally become famous, and fame had brought attention from those who did not want to be friends. Doctor gathered the crew that night. We should prepare, she said. If they decide to test us, we need to be ready. Ready for what? Asked. We are one small ship with basic weapons. We cannot fight a military fleet. We do not need to fight, Minyu said thoughtfully. We just need to survive. That is what humans do best. Looked at his crew, his family, really. They had come so far together. They had found life among the stars, made friends with ancient civilizations, and accidentally started a galactic legend just by drinking juice and coffee. Now they might have to prove that the legend was true. Whatever comes, he said quietly, we face it together. We are human. Our ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and their own mistakes. We can survive this too. Outside the ship, the stars burned cold and bright. Somewhere among them, the Dominion was watching and planning. But aboard the horizon's edge, the crew made dinner, shared stories, and drank their coffee without fear. That was what humans did. They kept living no matter what. The fleet appeared without warning. 12 warships, each one larger than the entire station. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel and arranged themselves in attack formation. Their weapons were already powered. Captain watched them on the display screen. His face was calm, but his heart was beating fast. How long until they reach us? 20 minutes, Lieutenant Minyu reported. They are scrambling their defense fleet, but they will not arrive in time. Ambassador stood near the communications console, her silver skin pale with fear. The commander is transmitting. He wants to speak with you. Put him through. The screen flickered and a new face appeared. They were built for war. Heavy bones, thick muscles, eyes that showed no mercy. The commander was the largest and most. His name was Warlord, and he looked at like a predator examining prey. So you are the famous humans, said. His voice was deep and mocking. The galaxy tells stories about you. They say you drink poison and laugh at death. They say our weapons cannot break you. We do not want to fight, said steadily. We came here as explorers and friends. Friends, laughed. They do not have friends. We have servants and enemies. Today, I will show the galaxy which one you are. When your ship is burning and your crew is begging for mercy, everyone will know that humans are nothing special. We will not beg. We will see. The transmission ended. The fleet began to move. Grand Elder appeared on another channel. He looked worried but determined. Captain, you must leave. Take your ship and run. We cannot ask you to die for us." "With respect, Grand Elder, we are not leaving," replied. "You welcomed us when you did not have to. You shared your greatest treasure with us. That means something. We do not abandon our friends." Was quiet for a moment. "The reinforcements will arrive in 40 minutes, if you can hold them for that long." "We will hold them." The channel closed. Captain turned to his crew. "Doctor, Lieutenant Minu, engineer, specialist. 5 humans against a fleet built for conquest." "You heard the plan," said. "We survive for 40 minutes. Any ideas?" Minu was already working at his console. "They are powerful, but their tactics are simple. They rely on overwhelming force. They do not expect targets to think." "So we think." "There is an asteroid field nearby. The sensors show it is dense and unstable. The computers will calculate it as impossible to navigate. Their ships are too large." "But we are not too large." Minu nodded. "If we can reach the asteroid field, we can use it as cover. They will have to come in after us, and in there, size becomes a problem." Spoke up from her engineering station. "The ship can handle it, but I will need to push the engines hard. There might be damage." "Can you keep us flying?" "Captain, you know me. I can keep this ship flying with string and prayers if I have to." "Then do it." The horizon's edge turned and accelerated toward the asteroid field. Behind them, the fleet adjusted course to follow. Warlord sent another message, but ignored it. There was nothing more to say. They reached the asteroids just as the first weapons fired. Explosions lit up the space around them, but Minu was already weaving through the rocks. His hands moved with impossible precision, making adjustments faster than any computer. "How are you doing that?" asked. She was gripping her seat, terrified. "Practice," Minu said calmly. "I grew up racing through junkyards on Earth. This is easier." The ships tried to follow, but the asteroid field was chaos. Rocks tumbled and collided. Gravity shifted constantly. 2 smaller vessels scraped against asteroids and fell back with damaged hulls. "They are too big," observed. "They cannot fit through the gaps." "Good, keep moving." Inside the ship, everything was shaking. Warning lights flashed. The hull groaned under stress, but kept the engines running, rerouting power, making repairs even as new problems appeared. "How long have we held them?" asked. 15 minutes. 25 more to go." They adapted. They could not follow the horizon's edge into the deepest parts of the asteroid field, but they could surround it. They began firing into the rocks, breaking them apart, trying to flush the humans out. An asteroid exploded nearby, and the shockwave threw the ship sideways. Alarm screamed. Was thrown from her seat but got up immediately. "Minor injuries only," she reported. "I am fine." "The shields are failing," called out. "I can give you maybe 30%. 30% is better than nothing." They kept moving. They kept firing. The asteroid field was being destroyed piece by piece, but the horizon's edge slipped through the chaos like a ghost. 23 minutes, announced. Warlord was getting angry. His flagship pushed deeper into the field, ignoring the danger. His voice came through the ship's speakers, somehow breaking through their communications block. "You cannot hide forever, humans. When I find you, I will tear your ship apart with my bare hands." Did not respond, he was thinking. He said suddenly, "The research you did on alien biology, you found that many species are sensitive to certain compounds, right?" "Yes, capsaicin especially, the chemical that makes peppers spicy. Many species find it extremely painful." "Do we have any on board?" Grinned despite the chaos around her. "I have a whole bottle of hot sauce in the kitchen, Minu's special reserve." "That is my grandmother's recipe," Minu protested. "Your grandmother is about to save our lives. Get it." Ran to the kitchen and came back with a small bottle of red sauce. Took it and began working at her station. loading it into the ship's emergency venting system. "What are you planning?" asked. "The flagship is close. If we can vent this into their atmosphere recyclers, it might slow them down." "That is insane." "We are human. Insane is what we do." They waited until the flagship was almost on top of them. Then Minyu made a sudden turn, bringing them alongside the massive warship for just a moment. "Now," shouted. Activated the vent. A cloud of vaporized capsaicin sprayed into space, pulled directly into the ship's intake systems. The effect was immediate. Even from outside, they could hear the screaming. The flagship began to spin out of control. Its weapons stopped firing. Its lights flickered. Through the viewports, they could see warriors stumbling and clawing at their eyes. "What did you do?" whispered. "We seasoned them," said with dark humor. The flagship crashed into an asteroid and went dark. Without their commander, the remaining ships fell into confusion. They had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy who fought with breakfast ingredients. 35 minutes, said, 5 more. They could see the fleet now, emerging from faster-than-light travel. Dozens of ships, armed and ready. The remaining vessels saw them too and made a decision. They fled. It was over. Captain let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Around him, his crew was cheering, hugging each other, crying with relief. Ambassador was staring at them like she had witnessed a miracle. "You won," she said. "One small ship against 12 warships. You won with hot sauce." "We held the line," corrected gently. "The won the battle. We just survived until they arrived." That is what humans keep saying. We just survive. But you do not understand how incredible that is. Grand Elder contacted them as the fleet secured the area. His ancient eyes were wet with emotion. "Captain," he said, "today you have taught the galaxy another lesson. Humanity is not to be underestimated, not because you are strong or violent or dangerous, but because you refuse to give up. You find ways to survive that no one else would imagine." "We had good friends to fight for," replied. Smiled. "The Council has voted unanimously. We wish to offer humanity full partnership in the Galactic Council, not as newcomers to be watched, but as equals to be respected." Bowed his head. "We accept with honor." In the weeks that followed, the story of the Battle of the Asteroid Field spread across the galaxy. It joined the legend of the juice and the coffee, becoming part of a larger picture of who humans really were. They were not conquerors. They were not warriors. They were survivors who had climbed out of a death world and reached for the stars. They found wonder in small things and strength in simple habits. They drank lightning every morning and turned vegetables into weapons and never, ever gave up. Ambassador stayed with the Horizon's Edge as permanent liaison to humanity. She was learning more every day about these strange beings who had become her friends. On the morning after the battle, she found the crew in the common room, drinking coffee and eating breakfast as if nothing had happened. "You almost died yesterday," she said. "How can you be so calm?" Shrugged. "We survived, and this coffee is really good." "It is always good," Minyu agreed. "My grandmother knew what she was doing." Smiled and poured a very small cup. "Tiny sip only. We learned our lesson last time." Took the cup carefully. She looked at the dark liquid, then at the humans around her. They had faced death and found victory, and now they were enjoying their breakfast like it was any other day. Maybe that was the secret, she thought. Maybe that was what made humans special. Not that they could not be hurt, but that they could be hurt and keep going, keep smiling, keep drinking their poison and calling it breakfast. She took a tiny sip of coffee. It still burned like fire, but this time she was ready for it. "To friends," Captain said, raising his cup. "To friends," everyone repeated. And somewhere across the galaxy, civilizations were telling stories about the humans who drank juice, survived on poison, and taught the Dominion that size was not everything. The universe had never seen anything quite like them. And that was exactly how it should be.